What if I told you, Earth isn't just visited by one alien species, but 5, and they've been warring over our planet for millennia? The Nordics pretend to be our protectors. The Greys abduct humans for experiments. The Reptilians infiltrate governments. And 2 more terrifying races operate in the shadows. Worst of all, they've already divided humanity into factions. By the end of this video, you'll know which species is secretly manipulating you. For millennia, humans have looked to the skies with wonder and curiosity. Across the globe, stories abound of beings descending from the heavens, appearing in dreams, in legends, and, more recently, in first-hand accounts. These narratives have been woven into the fabric of countless cultures, emerging as gods, spirits, or other entities whose origins were once attributed to the divine. Today, many of these stories are reinterpreted through the lens of modern science and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. In our discussion, we'll explore how these ancient texts and modern testimonies might intersect, suggesting that alien species have been, and perhaps still are, a part of Earth's story. Nordics, or Nordic Aliens, are a race of humanoid extraterrestrials that visit Earth. They derive their name from the fact that they resemble the Scandinavians. Origin: some individuals have suggested that because of the Nordics' similar physical appearance to humans, that they could possibly be our long-lost relatives who have since moved on to another planet. Home system: Plleadens, Vega, Hyades. Description: Nordic aliens are a race of alien visitors that look very similar to the average human except a little taller and heavier, characteristically 1.8 to 2.4 meters with white, pink skin, blue eyes, light blonde or white hair, and commonly reported as being male and in excellent physical shape. Biology: although Nordics are humanoid and externally almost identical to humans, there are subtle differences in the Nordic alien physiology, and most of them are based on the living conditions that they have grown up in. Their planets are extremely hot and dry and have a low oxygen content in the atmosphere. They have a larger lung capacity than humans and have a copper-based blood in order to carry oxygen more efficiently. The eyes are protected by inner lids and can allow them to see into the ultraviolet range of the spectrum. They have only 28 teeth as they lack a back pair of molars. Their heads are longer than humans. The brain case is about 0.2 millimeter thicker and the bone is harder. The brain is the same as the human brain as far as structure and size is concerned, except for the midbrain area, where there are functions that allow telepathic and telekinetic skills. It explains the psionic powers of the Nordics. The skin allows moisture to be drawn from the air, as well as moisture to penetrate. The heart beats at around 242 beats per minute, and the average blood pressure is 80 systolic and 40 diastolic. They have extremely dilated blood vessels. The heart is located where the human liver would be. The cartilage that would protect a human heart extends down 3.5 centimeters further in the Nordic in order to protect this structure. Blood cells are biconvex in contrast to the concave cells of humans. Kidney-type functions only allow about half the liquid consumed to be excreted. The rest is evidently put back into the system. Urine is thick with minerals and appears in color and texture to freshly pumped crude oil. Feces are dry pellets with all moisture removed. The adult Nordic can regulate the amount of adrenaline in their body. They have no pineal gland. Nordic females are capable of being impregnated at any time, but the males are capable of impregnation about once a year. The period of incubation is 3 to 5 months. Powers: telepathic and telekinetic skills. Attitude: people report that the Nordics are here to somehow watch over and help guide us into a new plane of existence. Others report that the Nordics have had some kind of conflict with the Greys in the past. History of contacts: Billy Meyer claims to have met with a core group of Nordic aliens he called the Plleadians from the Pleiades star cluster. Author George Adamski was one of the first contactees to report a description of a blonde-haired UFO occupant. On 20th of November 1952, he reportedly met and spoke with a being from Venus called Orthon after seeing a UFO in Arizona. Political scholar and ufologist Michael Salla suggested the possibility that United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower met with Nordic aliens at Edwards Air Force Base in February 1954 in an attempt to formulate an agreement over technology exchange and the elimination of the American nuclear arsenal. The abduction support group, UFO Contact Center International, wrote in its 1990 brochure that Plleadians, Nordic types, medium builds, pleasant to encounter, by our standards attractive, were reported as frequent visitors by contactees, believers. The Industrial Church of the New World Comforter. The Industrial Church of the New World Comforter is a UFO religion founded in 1973 by Alan Michael. In 1947, when he was a pictorial sign painter in Long Beach, California, he claimed to have a telepathic encounter with a UFO. He then changed his name from Alan Noonan to Alan Michael. He claims to have physically encountered a flying saucer manned by Nordic aliens in 1954 at Giant Rock in the Mojave Desert of California. Tempelhofgesellschaft. There is a Gnostic religion called the Tempelhofgesellschaft, founded in the early 1990s in Vienna, Austria, that distributes pamphlets claiming that the Aryan race originally came to Atlantis from the star Aldebaran. This information is supposedly based on ancient Sumerian manuscripts. The Tempelhofgesellschaft maintains that the Aryans from Aldebaran derive their power from the Vril energy of the Black Sun. They teach that since the Aryan race is of extraterrestrial origin, it has a divine mission to dominate all the other races. It is believed by adherents of this religion that an enormous space fleet is on its way to Earth from Aldebaran, which, when it arrives, will join forces with the Nazi flying saucers from Antarctica to establish the Western Imperium. Theosophists. According to metaphysician Peter C. Rogers, metaphysical author Benjamin Creme subscribes to the view that the Nordics pilot flying saucers from a civilization on Venus that exists on the etheric plane and are capable of stepping down the level of vibration of themselves and their craft to the slower level of vibration of the atoms of the physical plane. Creme accepts George Adamski's UFO sightings as valid. It is also believed by theosophists that the governing deity of Earth, Sanat Kumara, is one of these Nordic aliens who originally came from Venus 18,600,000 years ago. Alpha Draconians are a race of powerful, ancient reptilian extraterrestrials that are often regarded as one of the oldest sentient species in the galaxy. They are named after their home system, Alpha Draconis, and are considered by many to be a dominant force behind certain covert extraterrestrial agendas on Earth. Origin. It is widely believed by contactees and researchers that the Alpha Draconians evolved on a planet orbiting the star Thuban, Alpha Draconis, in the Draco constellation. Some legends claim they are an ancient warrior race that predates humanity and possibly even seeded early reptilian life on Earth millions of years ago. Home system. Alpha Draconis, Thuban, Draco constellation. Description. Alpha Draconians are large, reptilian humanoids standing anywhere from 3.6 to 4.5 meters tall, with some reports describing royal or elite castes exceeding 5 meters. They are muscular, heavily built, and covered in thick, scaled skin, which ranges in color from dark green to brown or black. Their eyes are usually red or gold, often described as glowing. They have clawed hands and feet, and a tail that can reach up to a meter in length. There are two main castes, the royal or ancient ones, extremely tall, winged beings with horns and superior psychic powers. The warrior class, shorter, more militaristic, and often seen as the enforcers or foot soldiers. Biology. Alpha Draconians have evolved under high-gravity conditions on a planet with a thick, humid atmosphere and a low level of sunlight. Their skin is highly resistant to heat, radiation, and trauma. It has both a protective dermal layer and a secondary regenerative layer that allows for rapid healing. Their cardiovascular system is extremely powerful, with multiple hearts distributed throughout the body to accommodate their massive size. Their bones are denser and composed of silicon carbide compounds, making them resistant to breakage. Draconian blood is iron-based and dark blue in color. They possess enhanced adrenal glands, which allow them to enter berserker-like states during combat. The central nervous system is extremely complex and shielded by natural armored plating along the spine and skull. They are oviparous, reproducing by laying eggs. The incubation period is lengthy, anywhere from 12 to 18 months. Hatchlings mature quickly and are trained for military or hierarchical roles within the Draconian societal structure. Their brains have a highly developed limbic system, resulting in heightened instinctual responses and a focus on dominance, control, and survival. However, the higher Draconian castes possess developed neocortical structures, which enable advanced psychic communication, memory manipulation, and mind control. Powers: telepathic control and psychic domination, genetic manipulation, invisibility, cloaking through frequency modulation, astral projection, enhanced strength, endurance, and regeneration, deep space travel with advanced warships. Attitude: Alpha Draconians are typically seen as aggressive, authoritarian, and hierarchical. They believe in the right of domination by strength and often consider themselves the rightful rulers of less evolved species. Some researchers and whistleblowers claim that Draconians have been involved in manipulating human political systems, exploiting Earth's resources, and interfering with human evolution. Despite their fearsome reputation, not all Draconians are hostile. Some fringe theories suggest internal divisions exist within the species, with certain groups wishing to cooperate with humanity or cease their control-based operations. History of contacts: ex-military insider Phil Schneider alleged in several lectures that the US government had underground conflicts with tall reptilian beings he identified as Alpha Draconians, particularly during a firefight at the Dulce base in New Mexico in 1979. David Icke, a prominent conspiracy researcher, has frequently spoken about the Draconian influence over human elites and world leaders, claiming they operate through interdimensional manipulation. Corey Goode, a self-proclaimed secret space program insider, has described interactions between Alpha Draconians and human shadow governments, asserting they hold power within the larger Orion group. In remote viewing and channeling circles, Alpha Draconians are often described as a negative polarity force, antithetical to beings like the Arcturians and Plleadians, who prefer to operate behind the scenes through fear, deception, and technological control. Believers. The Orion Group Theory. A network of researchers and contactees claim that the Alpha Draconians are leaders of the Orion Group, a cabal of negative extraterrestrials which includes certain factions of Greys and other reptilian subspecies. Their supposed aim is galactic domination through infiltration, surveillance, and soul enslavement. Reptilian shapeshifter conspiracy. Popularized by David Icke, this theory suggests that Alpha Draconians can shapeshift or cloak their true forms and have infiltrated positions of power within royal families, government institutions, and financial systems worldwide. Ancient alien influence. Some ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the Alpha Draconians were worshipped as gods or dragons by early human civilizations. Myths of serpent deities, dragon kings, and underworld lords in Sumerian, Mayan, and Chinese cultures are interpreted by some as historical evidence of Draconian interference. Dark mystery schools. Certain esoteric groups claim that ancient occult orders once made pacts with Alpha Draconian emissaries to gain power in exchange for human energy or genetic material. These groups are believed to have preserved knowledge of the Draconians in symbols of serpents, dragons, and reptilian gods. The Plleadians are believed to be advanced, benevolent extraterrestrial beings from the Pleiades star cluster. They are often described as spiritual guides helping humanity evolve in consciousness. Home system. This star system is a small cluster of 7 stars located in the constellation of Taurus, 420 light-years from planet Earth. The names of the 7 stars in the Pleiades system are Taygeta, Maya, Koala, Atlas, Merope, Electra, Alcoin. The Pleiadians reside on the planet Era, which is almost as large as Earth, one of 10 planets that circle their sun, Taygete. Other Pleiadians would live on the planets Semjase, Ta, and Quetzal. Origin. The Pleiadians are a very ancient race of humanoids. Around 225,000 BC, the Pleiadians discovered a small sun system with a planet called Earth on one of their scouting missions away from the Pleiades. Since they have kept a record of the complete history of Earth's human evolution from the very beginning to our present time, The Galactic Federation allowed the Plleadians to enter into an incarnational cycle with humans on Earth. The places designated for them to do this was Bali, Hawaii, Samoa, and India. Civilizations came and went on Earth with many wars, peaceful cycles, and natural disasters between 196,000 BC and 10 AD. The Plleadians stayed with humans on Earth until 10 AD, trying to help develop various civilizations such as Lemuria, Maya, Inca, and a civilization at Machu Picchu. They also were trying to guide humans toward a more spiritual path. At about 10 AD, the last Pleiadian leader, called Plleades, left Earth for good because Pleiadians finally achieved peace back home in the Pleiades. They felt it was time for humans to evolve on their own. Before leaving Earth, the Pleiadians left a spiritual leader called Jemanuel, who later was known as Jesus. Jemanuel was a very evolved soul, whose father was Gabriel of the Pleiades system and Mary, who was of Lyran descent. Earth continued to evolve on its own without direct Pleiadian leadership till our present time. In the very near future, as Earth enters the photon band by year 2000, the Pleiadians are going to help bring all humans on Earth into the light. Habits. The following is a brief description of Pleiadian culture on the home planet of Era. About 400,000 people live on Era, which the Pleiadians feel is the ideal amount for the welfare of their planet. The people of Era are telepathic and therefore have no need for telephones. Their means of travel around the planet is done by a tube system. The Pleiadians are primarily vegetarians, but on occasion eat some meat. They have no medical problems, for they control their health by using their own mental powers. The average age of a Pleiadian is 700 years. Their skin is whiter and smoother than ours. The Pleiadians have no currency as we know it. They share the resources of their planet with all the people. All material goods are given to the people freely, based on their contribution to their society. When children are born into the Pleiadian society, they are taught for the first 10 years to understand the purpose of their lives. The children then spend the next 60 to 70 years being educated in various occupations. Pleiadians travel in spacecrafts called a beam ship. They have different sizes for different usage. They are approximately 21 feet in diameter, can carry several people, and have interplanetary capabilities. Beam ships can travel billions of miles in a part of a second by traveling in hyperspace. Because of this ability, the trip from Era in Pleiades to Earth takes only 7 hours. The Pleiadians will land along with other benevolent extraterrestrials after the major changes have occurred on Earth. When we are in the photon band by year 2000, the Pleiadians will bring in motherships to help the survivors of Earth with food and temporary shelter. Billy Meyer's contact from the Pleiades. Billy Meyer was contacted over 130 times between 1976 and 1982 by a female named Sam Yace, who said she was from the star system Pleiades. She was the first to telepathically contact Meyer and tell him where to go for the first physical contact. Meyer had in-depth conversations with Sam Yace. Lyrans are supposed to be the forefathers of humanity. Era is where they started their new civilization in the year 228,000 BC. They had to flee their native planets in the Lyra Vega star systems, which were invaded by reptiloid entities from Alpha Draconis, and escaped to the Pleiades, the Hyades, and to Vega, which is also in Lyra. They later became known as Pleiadians. In science fiction and ufology, Insecttoid is the name given to alien creatures or extraterrestrials, subterraneans, that shares a similar body or traits with common earth insects and arachnids. Description: Insectoids are hybrids of mixed parts between humans and insect. Most popular insects are mantis, spiders, bugs, contacts. Abduction researcher Brian Thompson claims that a nurse acquaintance of his reported that during 1957 in Cincinnati, she encountered a 3-foot-tall, 0.91 m, praying mantis-like entity 2 days after a V-shaped UFO sighting. This mantis-like creature is reminiscent of the insectoid-type entity reported in some abduction accounts. He related this report to fellow researcher Leonard Stringfield. Stringfield told him of 2 cases he had in his files where separate witnesses reported identical circumstances in the same place and year. Abduction researcher Carla Turner in Into the Fringe reported that a man called David remembered an encounter with a giant mantis during an hypnosis session. Linda Moulton Howe, in Glimpses of Other Realities, describes some claims of alien mantis. The book includes the cases of Linda Porter and David Huggins. In 1988, Linda Porter remembered an abduction by alien mantis, which she said took place when she was a child. In the same year, 1988, David Huggins remembered an encounter with alien mantis that he said took place in the 1950s when he was a child. The book report also the case of Jean Robinson, which said she have received messages by an alien similar to a mantis. According to Ms. Robinson, these aliens are a branch of Greys. Vicky Cameron in UFO Experience in Canada reported a case of an abduction by an insectoid alien similar to a grasshopper. Martin Kottmeyer argued the phenomenon of mantis alien may be explained by the effects of cultural factors. He remembered that in the movies The Deadly Mantis, 1957, and Son of Godzilla, 1968, appeared giant mantises, though they are not aliens. Kottmeyer remembered too that in the Saturday morning kids show Space Ghost, 1966, appeared an alien mantis named Zorak. In real life, insectoid robots such as hexapods have been designed for scientific or military uses. Research continues to miniaturize these robots to be used as flying spies or scouts. Insectoid features may also increase the effectiveness of robots in traversing various terrains. Art fiction. Insectoid aliens are commonly found in science fiction, being featured in classic sci-fi novels like Starship Troopers, as well as television shows such as Star Trek and Doctor Who. They also make an appearance in classic games such as Starflight, modern games like StarCraft and Warhammer 40,000, as well as the Star Wars universe. Examples of insectoid aliens in sci-fi anime are the Uchu Kaiju, space monsters from Gunbuster, and the Vajra from Macross Frontier. Reptilian humanoids are an alleged race of intelligent, supernatural, or highly developed reptile-like humanoids in mythology, popular fiction, pseudoscientific theories, and in the writings of New Age conspiracists. Origin. Reptoids play a significant role in the legends of India and Tibet, where they are considered by some to be demonic residents of a subterranean realm. The reptilians on Earth would live big caves underground, allegedly descended from a branch of bipedal sauroids, Stenonychosaurus, which existed thousands of years ago on Earth. The cranial capacity of Stenonychosaurus was nearly twice the size of that of human beings, indicating a large brain and possibly advanced, though not necessarily benevolent, intellect. Home system. Alpha Draconis, Epsilon Bootes, Rigel, Orion, Bellatrix, Orion, Polaris, Nemesis, the Altair stellar system in the constellation Aquila. Description. Although the reptilian being species are divided into several types, there are physical features that are shared by almost all. These physical descriptions are compiled from a large database on reptilian human contacts. In some cases, the experiencer may recall only one physical characteristic of the non-human entity that was encountered. On the other hand, other people have vivid memories of their encounter and are able to provide detailed reports of the reptilian being's anatomy. The information about these creatures varies from source to source. Reptilians are described as being from 5.5 to 9 feet in height and up to 200 kilos in weight. They have scaled crocodilian skin that is usually greenish-brown in color. Some also have coffee-colored scales that have dark green-colored rims. The scales, or scutes, on their backs, thighs, and upper arms are large. Their hands, abdomen, and face are covered with smaller scales, allowing more flexibility. Their heads are slightly conical in shape and have two bony ridges riding from their brow, across their back, sloping skull, toward the back of their head. Throughout history, these bony ridges have been misidentified as horns. There appears to be no bridge between their eyes. The nasal openings are at the end of a small, flattened nose and are described as two small slits that slant upwards in a V formation. Some experiencers have reported seeing small openings on the sides of their heads, but have noted that there is no fleshy part extending from this area. They have wide, lipless mouths, which contain differentiated types of teeth, including canines, fangs. They have either large black eyes with vertical slit pupils or eyes that white with flame-colored vertical slit pupils. Reptilian beings have no body or facial hair. Occasionally, experiencers will have observed reptilian beings with thin, fleshy spines under their chins. From a distance, this physical feature is often misidentified as hair. Reptilian beings are both tailed and tailless. Some species still reportedly retain a visible tail, although much atrophied from their supposedly extinct saurian ancestors. The tails are differentiated in size and are held off the ground. Their posterior can be like either that of a human, with a vertical slit shielding an excretory orifice, or it can be a rounded muscular area extending from the base of the spine to the upper thigh region. They have lean, firm bodies with powerful arms and legs. They have long arms with 3 fairly long fingers and an opposable thumb. Their feet have 3 toes and 1 recessed 4th toe that is toward the backside of their ankle. The claws of their hands and feet are short and blunt. They do not have teats on their upper torso, and they do not have a navel. Their genitalia are concealed within a vertical slit located at the base of the torso. In the case of women who claim to have experienced sexual encounters with reptoids, the male reptilian beings are described as having a well-endowed penis that is lacking a soft sacked scrotum. Where the scrotum sac is located on a human, the reptilian male, apparently, has a firm, muscular bulge leading from the base of the penis to the underside of the torso. Biology. Cold-blooded like all reptiles, the reptiloid is found to flourish in a warm, tropical climate, with imperfect respiration providing just enough oxygen to supply tissues and maintain the processing of food and combustion. Their temperature can be raised only a few degrees above the ambient. The reproductive system is oviparous, with eggs hatching in the oviduct prior to birth. The underdeveloped reptiloid cerebellus results in a slowness and simpler city of movement. The reptiloid eye is composed of thousands of microscopic facets, each facet with its own independent protective lid. The eye is almost never closed entirely during waking hours. Rather, sections of the organ are shut down in conjunction with the dominant light source. Powers: huge strength, molecular shape-shifting and/or laser holograms to produce an outward human appearance, telepathy, invisibility, attitude. These are highly advanced entities, but viewed as being of a negative, hostile, or dangerous disposition since they regard humans as a totally inferior race. Supposedly, they consider Earth their ancient outpost and want to have complete control over it because their planet is becoming unable to adequately support life. The Greys are supposedly subservient to the Reptilians. According to Lear and others, the government may have established a treaty with this race, who consider it as a means to buy time while they methodically establish certain controls upon the human race, with the ultimate goal of an absolute domination. Alien abduction. Alien abduction narratives sometimes allege contact with reptilian creatures. One of the earliest reports was that of Ashland, Nebraska police officer Herbert Shermer, who claims to have been taken aboard a UFO in 1967 by humanoid beings with a slightly reptilian appearance, who bore a winged serpent emblem on the left side of their chests. There are many conspiracy theories involving reptilian extraterrestrials or terrestrials of reptilian lineage. Many posit that the so-called Greys are in fact reptiles and should be categorized as reptoids. Others that reptoids are an entirely different species working with or in opposition to the Greys. Some have also claimed that they are capable of shape-shifting. Icke, 2004. According to British writer David Icke, 5 to 12 foot, 1.5, 3.7 min, tall, blood-drinking, shape-shifting reptilian humanoids from the Alpha Draconis star system, now hiding in underground bases in Hollow Earth, are the force behind a worldwide conspiracy directed at humanity. He contends that most of the world's leaders, from George W. Bush to members of the British royal family, are in fact 7-foot-tall, blood-drinking reptilians from the star system Alpha Draconia. In his view, United States foreign policy after September 11th is the product of a reptilian conspiracy to enslave humanity, with George W. Bush as a servant of the lizards. Icke's conspiracy theories now have supporters in 47 countries, and he frequently gives lectures to crowds of 2,500 or more. American writer Vicky Santayano ranked the notion that reptilian humanoids control all of us as the 10th most popular conspiracy theory. Kathy O'Brien, a woman who claims to be a victim of CIA MKUltra mind control, says in her book, The Transformation of America, with Mark Phillips, that she witnessed George Bush Sr. physically shapeshift into a reptilian alien being. She rationalized this as potentially being a holographic illusion as part of her mind control programming. Arizona Wilder reported similar sightings of prominent politicians shape-shifting into reptilian beings during Illuminati blood rituals. While her claims sound frightening, no supporting evidence or additional eyewitnesses exist. Patrick Bellringer and other supporters of NESARA also claim that George Bush is a reptilian. In this scenario, the announcement and implementation of NESARA, a law passed in secret, will ultimately end reptilian control over the planet Earth. Arcturians are an advanced race of extraterrestrial beings believed by many contactees and metaphysical researchers to be one of the oldest and most spiritually evolved civilizations in our galaxy. Their name derives from their origin star, Arcturus, located in the Boötes constellation. Origin. Arcturians are said to originate from the star Arcturus, a red giant about 36.7 light-years from Earth. Some have speculated that Arcturians are a future evolutionary form of humanity, or that they are part of a galactic brotherhood overseeing the development of younger civilizations like ours. Home system: Arcturus Boötes constellation. Description: Arcturians are typically described as short, thin beings, standing approximately 1.2 to 1.5 meters tall. They have large, oval-shaped heads and enormous, dark, almond-shaped eyes. Their skin is most often reported as blue, ranging from pale blue to indigo, and is smooth and almost translucent. Arcturians appear androgynous, with no visible sexual characteristics, and are often perceived as glowing or semi-luminous. Biology: Arcturian bodies are bioengineered for efficiency and high vibrational frequencies. They do not have a digestive system in the way humans do, as they absorb energy directly from light and cosmic frequencies. Their bodies are built for higher dimensional existence, specifically the fifth dimension and above. Their circulatory system is based on crystalline plasma rather than blood, allowing for more rapid distribution of light-based nutrients. Their neural system is composed of highly conductive crystalline filaments, making their brain activity vastly more complex than humans. The Arcturian brain consists of multiple lobes not present in humans, allowing them to process both linear and non-linear realities simultaneously. They are telepathic, clairvoyant, and possess strong empathic senses, able to feel and understand emotional states across vast distances. Their immune system is frequency-based, allowing them to eliminate pathogens by altering their bodily resonance. They do not reproduce biologically as humans do, instead using a form of consciousness transference or soul birthing through light pods on their crafts or in their biodomes. Powers: advanced telepathy, energy manipulation, interdimensional travel, aura reading and healing, teleportation, frequency modulation, collective consciousness access, attitude. The Arcturians are regarded as benevolent beings who serve as guardians and healers of the galaxy. They are said to be deeply committed to the spiritual evolution of humanity and the protection of Earth. Many believe that Arcturians function as cosmic therapists, helping souls transition through reincarnation cycles and preparing them for ascension into higher dimensions. While they are peaceful, they also act as defenders against lower vibrational entities, particularly during astral travel or energetic attacks. History of contacts: renowned psychic Edgar Cayce once spoke of beings from Arcturus as spiritually advanced guides for humanity. Author Norma J. Milanovich claims to have received telepathic messages from Arcturians, later compiled in her book We, the Arcturians, which details their culture, mission, and spiritual technology. Dr. Joshua David Stone and other metaphysical writers have cited Arcturians as members of the Galactic Federation of Light. Channelers around the world have reported regular communication with Arcturian star councils, particularly during meditation or healing work. Many of these messages urge peace, environmental stewardship, and unity consciousness. Believers: Galactic Federation of Light. Many spiritual communities assert that the Arcturians play a central role in the Galactic Federation of Light, a collective of extraterrestrial beings guiding planetary ascension. Within this belief, the Arcturians are said to maintain high vibrational space stations around Earth for monitoring and healing purposes. The Arcturian starseed movement. Numerous individuals who identify as Arcturian star seeds believe they were born on Earth to aid humanity in its spiritual awakening. These individuals often claim to carry memories of life on Arcturus, including knowledge of energy healing, sacred geometry, and advanced light technologies. Theosophists and New Age thinkers. Like the Nordics, Arcturians have been embraced by Theosophists and New Age thinkers as ascended beings who have transcended the material plane. Some regard Arcturians as etheric entities capable of guiding humans without needing to physically manifest. Lightworkers and healers, Arcturians are often invoked during spiritual healing sessions. Some energy practitioners claim to channel Arcturian frequencies to help remove blockages, activate DNA, or realign the chakras. Tools such as Arcturian healing chambers or light grids are believed to carry their signature energy. Greys is the most commonly identified alien race in ufology and the most commonly described race by abduction victims. There are many different views, stories, and theories regarding them, ranging from the different New Age views to the different scientific and conspiracy views. Description: Greys are usually depicted as hairless, small, humanoid beings approximately 1.225 meters in height, with skin colors ranging from gray-white to gray-brown to gray-blue. Their head is larger than humans, with inverted triangular shape, absence of auditory lobes and nose, absence of body hair, large oval tear-shaped eyes, which are opaque black with vertical slit pupils. Sometimes greys are alternately depicted as having no noticeable nostrils or mouths, but only small openings or orifices for ears and nostrils, and no discernible sex organs. Their bodies are usually depicted as being elongated, having a small chest, and lacking in muscular definition and visible skeletal structure. Their arms resemble praying mantis, which reach to the knees, long hands with small palm, claw-like fingers, 2, 3, or 4 fingers. Their legs are shorter and jointed differently than one would expect in a human. Their limbs are often depicted as proportionally different than a human's. Their humerus and thighs are the same lengths as their forearms and shins, respectively. Home system. From a star chart reported by Betty Hill, an elementary school teacher and amateur astronomer, Marjorie Fish concluded that the home planet of these beings was located in the Zeta Reticuli star system. Their home planet is alleged to be the 4th planet of the 2nd star of Reticulum. Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, a binary star system visible from the southern hemisphere approximately 38 light-years away, with a spectral class of G2, identical to our Sun. The Greys are therefore sometimes known as Zeta Reticulans. Biology. Some theories argue that Greys evolved naturally from a cetacean-like life form on another world, or were artificially modified through genetic engineering by an outside species or themselves. They have evolved beyond the sexual reproduction process, so that all sexual organs and their digestive tracts have totally atrophied. They are no longer capable of eating or indulging in sexual activities. Because of these manipulations, cloning became their only form of reproduction. The Greys are said to consume nourishment through a process of absorption through their skin. The process, according to abductees who have witnessed it, involved spreading a biological liquid protein formula that has been mixed with hydrogen peroxide, which oxygenates the slurry and eliminates bacteria onto their skin. Food is converted to energy by chlorophyll by a photosynthetic process. To eliminate, they need to pass the substance through some part of their body, much the same way plants eliminate through their skin or outer shells. They use hydrogen peroxide for helping with that elimination as well. Waste products are then excreted back through the skin. Many abductees have noted that the Greys have a distinct series of odors. The Zeta Reticuli Greys feed upon glandular secretions of humans and are said to abduct humans and extracting the secretions for themselves. It is also said that Greys absorb certain substances from parts of the cattle that stabilize them during the cloning process, mostly substances that comes from certain mucous membranes, the lips, nose, genitals, and rectum, and also from certain organs. Aside from feeding off of human and animal proteins and fluids, they also allegedly feed off the life energy, the theories. A simple explanation for the origins of the Greys would be an evolutionary process similar to that of humans, but from a cetacean ancestor as opposed to a primate ancestor. At one point, instead of returning to the oceans, or perhaps leaving the oceans, cetaceans simply evolved as a land dweller while retaining the vestigial features of the fish. Another of the theories possible begins with a cetacean life form evolved on another planet. Unlike Terran cetaceans, they did not return to the oceans, but were discovered and later altered and cloned by another species. This species, called the Masters, needed a source of slave labor and thus searched for an intelligent lesser species that they could genetically manipulate in order to be used effectively. Arbitrarily assuming that this period of time was about 1 million years ago, the most evolved species at that time on Terra would have been dolphins and whales. This might also have been possible on another planet, where a similar species evolved instead of a primate-like organism. Under this theory, the cetacean ancestors of the Greys were taken and genetically altered into an upright, bipedal species, capable of doing labor for the Masters. After a time, however, the Greys apparently rebelled, and are now on their own, using the technology of the Masters. But since they were created to simply operate them, and not to design them, their knowledge of the technology's operation is lacking. This theory would explain the lack of knowledge of genetics that the Greys seem to suffer from, and why they can't simply make their own genetic code artificially more diverse. They are able to manipulate the technology and use it to their advantage, but are unable to understand the actual theoretical aspects and operations behind the use of their equipment, thus resulting in a need for abduction of humans. Some conspiracy theorists believe that Greys represent part of a government-led disinformation or plausible deniability campaign, or that they are a product of government mind control experiments. Neurologist Dr. Stephen Novella argues that the idea is a byproduct of the human imagination, with the Greys' most distinctive features representing everything that modern humans traditionally link with intelligence. The aliens, however, do not just appear as humans, they appear like humans with those traits we psychologically associate with intelligence. In 2005, Frederick Furst Malmström, writing in Skeptic magazine, Vol. 11, Issue 4, presents his hypothesis that Greys are actually residual memories of early childhood development. Malmström reconstructs the face of a Grey through transformation of a mother's face based on our best understanding of early childhood sensation and perception. Malmström's study offers a possible alternative to the existence of Greys, the intense instinctive response many people experience when presented an image of a Grey, and the ease of regression hypnosis and recovered memory therapy in recovering memories of alien abduction experiences, along with their common themes. History. The science fiction writer H.G. Wells, in the article Man of the Year Million in 1893, describes humanity transformed into a race of gray-skinned beings, stunted and with big heads. In his 1901 book, The First Men in the Moon, Selenites, or natives of the moon, are described as having gray skin, big heads, large black eyes, and wasp stings. He also briefly describes aliens resembling Greys brought down to Earth as food by the antagonists of his more popular novel, The War of the Worlds. In 1933, the Swedish novelist Gustav Sandgren, using the pen name Gabriel Linde, published a science fiction novel called Den okända faran, The Unknown Danger, where he describes a race of extraterrestrials. The creatures did not resemble any race of humans. They were shorter than the average Japanese, and their heads were big and bald, with strong square foreheads and very small noses and mouths and weak chins. What was most extraordinary about them were the eyes, large, dark, gleaming, with a sharp gaze. They wore clothes made of soft gray fabric, and their limbs seemed to be similar to those of humans. The novel was aimed at young readers, and it included illustrations of the aliens. In 1965, newspaper reports of the Betty and Barney Hill abduction brought Greys to international attention. The alleged abductees, Betty and Barney Hill, claimed to have been abducted by alien beings and taken to a saucer-shaped spaceship in 1961. During the early 1980s, Greys were linked in popular culture to the alleged crash landing of a flying saucer in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. By a number of publications which contained statements from individuals who claimed to have seen the U.S. military handling a number of unusually proportioned, bald, child-sized corpses. These individuals claimed that the corpses had oversized heads and slanted eyes, but scant other facial features during and after the incident. During the 1990s, popular culture began to increasingly link greys to a number of military-industrial, complex, New World Order conspiracy theories. The X-Files, which first aired in 1993, and Dark Skies, first broadcast in 1996, reinforced the urban myth of a linkage between gray-like extraterrestrials and UFO conspiracy theories. In 1995, filmmaker Ray Santilli claimed to have obtained 22 reels of 16mm film that depicted the autopsy of a real gray that was said to have been recovered from the site of the 1947 incident in Roswell, New Mexico. Greys and abduction. Among reports of supposed alien encounters, greys make up approximately 50% in Australia, 43% in the United States, 90% in Canada, 67% in Brazil, 20% in continental Europe, and around 12% in Great Britain. Abduction claims are described as extremely traumatic, similar to an abduction by humans, or even a sexual assault in the level of trauma and distress. Claims often describe a gray staring into the eyes of an abductee when conducting mental procedures. This staring is claimed to induce hallucinogenic states or directly provoke different emotions. Subgroups. Greys are commonly included in alien abduction claims and are a focus of ufology, with attributes that may differ from those described above. These claims include two distinct groups of greys that differ in height. Abductees say that they recognize the leader of their abductors by its demeanor. Some ufologists and abduction researchers believe that taller greys, with their reported increased authority and apparently more complex psychology, may be the only gray type to be biologically alive, and that the shorter form could be their artificially constructed robot or cyborg servants. Some alien abduction reports have depicted variant skin colors such as blue-gray, green-gray, or purple-gray, and sometimes not gray at all. The skin is typically described as being extremely smooth, almost as if made of an artificial material like rubber or plastic. Gray type A, Zeta Reticuli grays. Zeta Reticuli grays come from Zeta Reticulans, the fourth planet out from Zeta II Reticulum, near Barnard's star, which is a neighboring star system to Orion. The constellation Reticulum is a fairly small collection of faint stars, of which Zeta is barely visible to the naked eye, even though it is relatively close to us at approximately 40 light-years. The dim point of light known to us as Zeta Reticuli is actually a binary star system, and its two stars, Zeta Reticulum and Zeta II Reticulum, are each very much like our own yellow sun. It is not visible in the northern hemisphere. Their day is 90 hours long, and the year is a little over 432 of our days long. Travel time to that location is about 91 days by Reticulan jumpcraft, are both stars in the constellation Reticulum in the southern celestial hemisphere. These greys have their best-known bases in New Mexico and Nevada, but are also known to have bases in many countries of the world. Description: the most commonly seen gray is around 2 to 4 feet tall, very slender and delicate-looking, small beings and lightweight, extremely penetrating black slanted eyes with no pupils, almost vestigial mouth and nose, a very large head with a pointed chin. The skin color varies from dark gray to light gray, tan to tannish gray, white to pale white. They have no hair on their bodies. They have evolved beyond the need for reproductive systems or digestive systems and reproduce by cloning. Their genetics are partly based on insectoidal genetics activity. Their science deals largely with the study of other life forms and genetic engineering. They have supposedly had a part to play in the alteration of human genetics over thousands of years. It seems that they may be trying to crossbreed with humans in order to create a mixture race that would be better than either. Organization. Their social organization is similar to ants with a very rigidly defined social structure, but they are technologically advanced and seem to be in a conquest mode. There seem to be two main social classes. One is the more hawkish and is more abrupt, crude, and blunt. The more dove-like ones are more refined and capable of a more business-like behavior towards humans, and prefer to use more diplomatic behavior to gain control over humans. This type of gray is what I believe is being referred to as the orange class of grays. These grays are servants to a master race of reptilian-type aliens and are trying to prepare the Earth for their arrival by gaining control over the Earth through many means. They tend to enjoy the feeling of freedom they have on Earth, away from their masters, and would desire the help of humans in confrontations with the reptilians. Friend, foe. They seem to be emotionless by human standards and therefore are seen as cruel in their treatment of human beings. They are able to take human lives without any regard for that individual. They apparently can use certain substances of the human body for their sustenance and therefore appear to be carnivorous in regards to humans. This could apply to physical or mental fluids, an experience reported by many abductees that felt like being vampirized, as aliens would use their fear as a recreational drug. Gray type B, Orion Greys, usually about 7 to 8 feet. Tall, reports often exaggerate their height as being 9 to 12 feet, with facial features somewhat similar to Gray type A, with the exception of the large nose found on type B Greys. The larger Greys apparently have some vestigial reproductive capability, and some of the hybrid species that have been crossbred with the taller reptilian species have full reproductive capability. The brain capacity is estimated to be between 2,500 and 3,500 cc, compared to 1,300 cc for the average human. Due to the cloning process, the neural matter is artificially grown brain matter, and the Greys have known technology that enables them to insert memory patterns and consciousness into clones in any manner or pattern that they wish. These Greys also have technologies that allow them to perform certain actions that appear miraculous. Organization. They have been seen giving orders to the smaller type A. These creatures are hostile, but less vicious toward humans. They have certain powers and technologies that allow them to perform actions that appear miraculous. According to some government sources, these extraterrestrial biological entities called themselves the EBAN. It is with the larger Greys that elements of the government made a series of diplomatic agreements in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Friend, foe. These Greys are less viscous towards humans than type A Greys, but are still considered hostile. They tend to influence more through political controls and negotiated agreements with those in power. The Orion Greys give the impression that they are benevolent towards humans, but they are heavily into genetic engineering. They use humans as guinea pigs to conduct various experiments. All this is done through the injecting of certain genomes into flesh and the application of electromagnetic charges. In this way, they can grow human body parts to help deformed or injured humans, or for their own purposes of food and sustenance. Gray type C. Description. These are the shortest of the Greys with a height about 3.5 feet. Both the Bellatrax Greys and the Zeta Reticuli Greys are related genetically from the same root race and look very much alike except for size. Their skin is mushroom gray, and they are reported to smell like burnt match heads. The face has smooth, rounded hat on top, with dark, deep-set holes for eyes and a round O-shaped mouth. A square breastplate with concentric circles on it is often noticed. Conclusion. The cosmic tapestry of extraterrestrial life, from ancient myths to modern encounters. For millennia, humanity has gazed at the stars with wonder, crafting myths of gods, spirits, and celestial beings who descended from the heavens. Today, as our understanding of the cosmos expands, many of these ancient narratives are being reinterpreted through the lens of extraterrestrial contact. The stories of Nordics, Plleadians, Insecttoids, Reptilians, Greys, and Dracos form a complex mosaic of encounters that challenge our perception of reality, history, and our place in the universe. The Nordics, benevolent watchers or cosmic kin. The Nordic aliens, with their striking resemblance to Scandinavian humans, have long been depicted as benevolent guides, assisting humanity in spiritual evolution. Their origins, linked to the Pleiades, Vega, and Hyades star systems, suggest a possible shared ancestry with Earthlings. Contactees like Billy Meyer and George Adamski describe them as telepathic, highly advanced beings who seek to steer humanity toward enlightenment. Yet, their presence also raises questions. Are they truly our cosmic relatives, or do they have a more calculated agenda? Why do they resemble humans so closely? Could this be intentional genetic engineering? Some theories propose that the Nordics are part of a galactic federation, working alongside other extraterrestrial races to maintain cosmic balance. Others warn that their apparent benevolence may mask deeper manipulations, particularly given their historical conflicts with the Greys and Reptilians. The Plleadians. ancient stewards of Earth. The Plleadians, hailing from the star cluster of Taygeta in the Pleiades, claim an ancient connection to Earth dating back 225,000 years. According to contactee Billy Meyer, they played a role in shaping early human civilizations, including Lemuria, Atlantis, and ancient India. Their society, telepathic, vegetarian, and free from currency, represents an idealized version of human potential. Yet, their sudden departure around 10 AD and the subsequent dark ages of human history suggest a possible withdrawal of guidance, leaving humanity to fend for itself. Their prophesied return in the photon band era, post-2000, implies an impending cosmic shift. But will they come as saviors or overseers? The Insecttoids, cosmic predators, or misunderstood entities. Among the most unsettling extraterrestrial encounters are those with insectoids, mantis-like, spider-like, and other hybrid beings. Reports describe them as tall, intelligent, and eerily detached, often involved in abductions and genetic experiments. Are they a naturally evolved species, or bioengineered servants of a higher power? Do they view humans as specimens, or is there a deeper purpose to their interactions? Some abductees claim these beings possess advanced psychic abilities, using humans for consciousness experiments. Others suggest they may be interdimensional entities, existing outside our linear perception of time. The Reptilians and Dracos, cosmic overlords or ancient earthlings. Perhaps the most controversial of all extraterrestrial theories revolves around the Reptilians and Dracos, alleged shape-shifting, hyper-intelligent beings with a hierarchical, militaristic society. Originating from Alpha Draconis, they are said to have infiltrated human power structures, with figures like David Icke claiming world leaders are reptilian hybrids. Their biology, cold-blooded copper-based blood, and advanced psychic abilities suggests a predatory nature. Ancient texts, Sumerian, Vedic, and Biblical, describe serpentine gods who ruled over humanity. Are these the same beings? The Dracos, a winged subspecies, are often linked to underground bases, Dulce, Montauk, Point Pleasant, and are described as royal elites within the reptilian hierarchy. Their alleged involvement in global control systems fuels conspiracy theories of a hidden alien dictatorship. The Greys, emotionless scientists or slave race. The Greys, Zeta Reticulans, are the most commonly reported extraterrestrials, infamous for abductions, genetic experiments, and hybridization programs. Are they a dying race, cloning themselves to survive? Do they serve a higher power, reptilians, Nordics? Why are they so fixated on human DNA? Some theories suggest the Greys are bioengineered drones, created by an ancient master race, possibly the Reptilians, to conduct interstellar operations. Their lack of emotions and hive mind behavior aligns with this hypothesis. The bigger picture, a cosmic war for Earth? If these accounts hold any truth, Earth may be a battleground for competing extraterrestrial factions. Nordics and Plleadians guiding humanity toward ascension. Reptilians and Dracos seeking control through manipulation. Greys acting as intermediaries or slave laborers. Insectoids operating in the shadows, possibly as neutral observers or ancient guardians. Final thoughts, are we alone or part of a grand design? The sheer volume of eyewitness testimonies, ancient texts, and modern whistleblower accounts suggests that we are not alone, and perhaps never have been. Whether these beings are extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or ultra-terrestrial, their influence on human history is undeniable. The question remains, are they here to help, exploit, or observe? Is humanity a genetic experiment, a cosmic colony, or a fledgling species on the verge of galactic citizenship? As we stand at the threshold of disclosure and cosmic awakening, one thing is clear: the truth is stranger than fiction, and the universe is far more mysterious than we've been led to believe. What do you think? Are these beings real or products of myth and imagination? Share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. I love hearing from you. Check out more videos on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.